1964, 65, let's go to 65, goes to England to start writing this book, Rush to Judgment. And the book is, with this Bodley Head publishing firm. And he gets rid of the CIA guy, Sonnenberg, who kind of infiltrates, through enemy lines. He fires him, the CIA operative, and he does not have the book finished, but it's in galley form. And this guy calls up on the phone and he says, and with a British accent, he's living in London, Mark Lane at the time, and he says, so he couldn't have done it, could he? And he goes, who couldn't have done it? Who the hell are you? And he says he couldn't have done the shooting, and based on what he says. And he says, I don't think so, but who are you? And he says, it's Paul McCartney. So Paul McCartney becomes so enamored with the case that he convinces Mark to give him an early draft. The only guy who ever saw the book in galley form. There's Paul on the left and Mark Lane on the right. They begin to become best friends in London. This is just, I didn't know anything about this. He gives Paul McCartney the entire book. He reads it and then calls him up, and they become best friends. And he starts making these meals for him. And I don't know, maybe our British friends know about this. It's like sliced white bread covered with beans, some sort of Liverpudlian delight that Mark Lane would throw up eating. And then he took him out to a Polish restaurant. Mark Lane took McCartney out to a keep in mind, this is 1965 Revolver McCartney, so he's not unfamous.
So he's not dead yet.
I don't know about not dead yet, but he's not. He is not unfamous. This is not 62 McCartney. Just to be
right.
Just to be clear of where we are in the McCartney lineage. This is 1965. So they go to a Polish restaurant and they're eating in there, and tiny little restaurant, and these girls see McCartney through the window, and 100 of them rush in the restaurant. He grabs Lane, and they run out the back door, and they're racing down an alleyway with like 75 girls chasing after them. And Lane is just so out of breath, he can't believe that McCartney lives like this. And they get back to the apartment, and Lane is just going, how do you live like this? And he says, well, we're kind of used to it here. And, in that McCartney sarcasm. And he then, gets into discussing the Warren Commission with Mark Lane. And he says, you let me read your book. He said, I think I owe you one. Here's a song that I'm working on. I just want to play it for you. And he goes, I haven't released it. Doesn't even have a name. And he takes out his guitar. And, oh, by the way, John Lennon's in the next room on a piano, just tinkering on a piano, according to Mark Lane. And he takes out his guitar, folk guitar, acoustic guitar, and he begins to play this song for Mark Lane, which doesn't have a name, and he's never released it yet. And he's just tinkering with it. And he says, what do you think? He says, I don't know. I got a tin ear. I can't really tell. You're asking the wrong guy. He goes, it could be good. I don't really know. Maybe it sucks. And the guy goes, what's the name of it? He goes, I don't have a name. So a couple of weeks later, it's released, and it's a rare song called Eleanor Rigby. So Mark Lane was the first person to ever hear Paul McCartney play Eleanor Rigby other than the Beatles.
Amazing.